What can I say about the new Thor movie at this point that has not already been said? In a year full of superhero movies, it's being praised by critics and fans alike for its comedy and eccentric view of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Heck, as much as people love Spider-Man Homecoming, and as well as it did, Thor Ragnarok already seems to be on a path to surpass it at the box office. Clearly, this movie's doing pretty well for itself, and people are going crazy for it. However, as you should know, I am not here to tell you to go watch a thing, but to explain it to you, so you can decide for yourself what you want to do. Therefore, you know the drill. Let's talk stuff like the premise, as well as the pros and cons, to see if this movie is right for you. Cutting down the plot to a smaller, spoiler-free morsel, basically the movie goes like this. It's been 2 years since the events of Avengers Age of Ultron and the climatic battle of Sokovia. Since then, Thor has been wandering around in search of the Infinity Stones, but has had no luck in his search. Not only that, but as seen in that seemingly random scene back during Age of Ultron, Thor has been having visions of Ragnarok, or the ultimate destruction of his homeworld Asgard. Though Thor at first thinks he has done everything in his power to avoid the catastrophic event, the appearance of Hela, goddess of death, begs to differ. Sporting crazy looking horns and a lust for conquest, the ruthless Hela destroys Thor's beloved hammer Mew Mew, then thrusts he and Loki into space to die. However, as seen from the trailers, Thor and Loki instead land on an alien planet, with Thor forced to compete in the Grandmaster's
Contest of Champions.
And so, imprisoned on the other side of the universe, without his mighty hammer, Thor must find a way to race back to Asgard to stop not only Hela, but Ragnarok itself. At least, if he can survive the gladiatorial contest against his former ally, the Incredible Hulk. So, let's start with the high points of the movie. First and foremost, I have to give props to the film for being the funniest yet in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, director Taika Waititi has done great comedies before, like What We Do in the Shadows, but the way that he was able to bring that humor and fresh new perspectives to the MCU is brilliant. This is especially noteworthy if we are truly to believe the director and how he says that around 80% of the movie was improvised. If that's true, then I give that man a round of applause for sitting there with these actors and getting such great performances out of them. While you're at it, give a round of applause to the actors as well, because they honestly all did so well as their respective characters. I mean, as I sit here and try to think of at least one character who was weak throughout the whole movie, I can't, because they were all that good. Okay, yeah, there is something about one character that can be seen as a problem, and I will discuss it in a bit. But basically though, as I said, every time characters were on screen, it was a real treat to see what they would say or do next. Check this rock guy for instance. He may not look like much, but what if I told you Korg here has risen to superstardom among fans because he steals every scene he is in? Heck, even Thor, who's already loved for his long luscious hair and huge biceps, finds a new way to enamor fans, since this movie allows him to really flex his comedic muscles and truly show us what a badass the God of Thunder can be. Speaking of which, while the movie may be a comedy, it is still a superhero movie, so of course it has fight scenes. Fight scenes which are incredible. I was really impressed with the action in this movie, and I think anyone who watches this movie can agree that the way some of these scenes play out is top notch. Remember the immigrant song used in the trailers? Yeah, they used that in the movie, and man is it used well. I wish I could say more, but hey, I'm trying to keep it spoiler free, so just trust me. Now, all that gushing about the movie aside, let's talk about the low points. First of all, I have to call out the pacing of the movie, especially when it comes to the first half. While it isn't big enough of a deal to ruin the viewing experience or anything, it can feel pretty weird to try and keep up with how the movie jumps around after barely introducing a new person or concept. This kind of happens with Hela, where we hear her name and then like a minute later there she was, which felt a little weird for a big character reveal. Speaking of which, while I thought that for the most part Hela was a great character and was definitely a strong villain, a lot of her dialogue can feel like it's just there to give us exposition. This is the aforementioned thing I was talking about that I felt was a bit weak about her. I mean, I get why she does exposition dumps, since she has a lot of backstory that the film wants us to know about, but instead of having her go, let me tell you about myself and my past, it might have worked better to show us all that stuff, you know? Finally, the movie's very funny, no doubt about it, but I can see that being a problem for people. Some people might not appreciate that every single thing, even stuff that should be serious, is taken as a joke, and well, I can understand that. But let it be clear that while none of these issues, at least to me, were that big of a deal to my enjoyment of the film, I still feel that they deserve mention in order to help judge this movie truthfully. With all that said and done, what is my final verdict? I say, do yourself a favor and go watch the movie as soon as you finish this video. It's funny, it's cool, and most of all, it's a whole lot of fun. But hey, that's just my opinion. And remember, don't take anything I say too seriously. After all, I'm just a wannabe reviewer. Thanks for watching.